What's going on, Junkie Nation? Gorgeous George and Goes always deliver the big names. Today we got PFL CEO Peter Murray here on the hotline. We're going to talk about Battle of the Giants, which is coming your way in less than a month. The argument could be made that the baddest man on the planet and the baddest woman on the planet may be decided that night. Are those your thoughts, Peter? I'm telling everyone, this one's a bigger one than Jones versus Miocic, and I'm a hardcore.
Well, George. So, I mean, like, listen, my barometer is all about the fans, and that is the conversation among fans, and that's what we set out to create. Tied to our pay-per-view super fights, and to do it, kick it off. Really, this first super fight belt with Francis versus Renan. It's a mega event. We're really excited about it.
It's been cool to see them come up close too, man. Those are some giants. Those are some forces that are going to be colliding with Renan.
Godzilla. Who's who?
Renan won the previous season as the heavyweight champ, and then he beat the Bellator champ in Bader. He's been on a great run. And then, of course, Francis, when he left, he was the top heavyweight on the planet and went over into boxing, but has not lost in MMA since then. And of course, he was on a tear. So this one's a big one. Respect to Miocic and Jones. They're both good ones, but I'm more excited about this one. And so let me ask you something here. Riyadh, the reasons for going there, was it strictly business or is it just blowing up over there? Here's why I asked, Peter, because it doesn't have to be a major city. Tuscaloosa just hosted Alabama versus Georgia, and that was one hell of a game. So it doesn't have to be a major city, but a lot of American fans would also like to get these types of events here too.
Yeah, and listen, we stage events all over the world and all over the country. So this year we were in Nashville for the first time, and down in South Florida, we're out in California. I mean, we tour the country in the U.S. With our global season events as well as the Champion Series events. But this fight, just given the global nature of this event, and Riyadh really leaning in on, being the fight capital of the world. So it's a privilege to stage the event and bring it to Riyadh as part of Riyadh's season, and it just brings this added flair to an event. A big event, it eventizes it even further. But I hear you regarding access for fans here in the U.S. The good news is you got college football, on October 19th, and now you got 3 title fights on one card with Francis and Renan on the top. So MMA fans are going to get their access on DAZN here in the U.S. as well as ESPN Plus and DAZN around the world. So it's going to be a great day.
I'm pumped. And how about the ladies? The great Cris-Cyborg takes on Larissa Pacheco, who's done damage at 35, 45, 55. She's a phenom. And these two ladies are in the co-main event. Talk about putting this one together.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Larissa, as you said, 2-time PFL champion, women's 155. Then she took on 145. She's women's 145 champion, 2 belts. She's fierce. She's really grown into being a bona fide, world champion, and she's wanted this fight for a long time. And so, very much when you think about, the quotes in Francis and in Cris, up against Renan and Larissa, that's really the future. And these younger fighters in their prime. Again, Francis still in his prime. I would say Cris in her prime. Not many can dance with either of them, but they've had a storied career, both of them. And Renan and Larissa, they're the future, and they're looking to make their mark now. So and they've deserved, they deserve this fight. These are both legitimate opponents for both Francis as well as Cris. And, Cris, nothing but respect. I mean, she's earned a belt. She's won a belt whoever she's fought for. And she wants this belt. Once again, the PFL Super Fights belts. First time we as a company and organization have a belt where, must be won, but it also must be defended on an ongoing basis. So typically our global season belts they recognize those champions for the year, and they're forever that year's champion. But this is a different belt, a different format for us. So both Francis and Cris want to be, the first ones to raise those belts. But Renan and Larissa, two Brazilians, they're going to bring it.
We're talking to Peter Murray, the CEO of PFL. And of course, on October 19th, you got a big card headed your way. It's called Battle of the Giants. You should brace for impact. It is a pay-per-view, and it is available on ESPN Plus or DAZN here in North America, DAZN worldwide. And that's important because I was in Peru for 6 months recently, and I was watching a lot of fights, boxing and MMA on DAZN. So it's great that you guys partnered up with them. Johnny Eblen also on the card defending his title against Fabian Edwards. AJ McKee, one of my favorite fighters, a SoCaler like yours truly. He's also on the card against Paul Hughes, who was recently a guest of ours on MMA Junkie Radio. All right, goes. What do you have for Peter Murray?
Peter, so obviously a lot of focus has been going towards the main event, the co-main event, but overall the card is tremendous. Is there anything you feel like the public might be sleeping on, or is there even something that we don't know that you guys have up your sleeve?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I'm glad you brought up Paul Hughes and AJ. I mean, AJ, arguably, the best in the weight class in the world. Paul Hughes, Irish kid, great fighter. He's now, this is a massive opportunity, and I'm not sure, fans around the world have gotten the chance to, really learn about and see, Paul fight. And this is a major platform for him, and it's our way to also present not only a formidable opponent for AJ, but again, talent that the PFL is developing through its system. And we believe, Paul can go absolutely head to head with AJ. It's going to be an exciting fight. So you got a lot of discovery there. And the undercard, when you look at that undercard, these showcase fights are gonna start the night on. In particular, Mustafa against Sami. That's a middleweight showcase fight. We're excited about this Saudi kid, Mustafa. We're putting a lot of resources in developing the ecosystem in Saudi Arabia, starting with fighters through PFL MENA, the system, and now on this platform, we have Mustafa. So I'm interested to see what he can do.
We're excited for the card, the magnitude of it. And I was curious if yourself or anybody else on staff, have you guys given any thought to what you're going to tell the fighters either the night before or the night of, a little speech or something? What's one thing that you want to stress? Because like George mentioned, there is a lot on the line here with the positioning of some of these fighters in the world. Have you given that thought, what you're going to be telling these people?
Yeah, no, it's really it's a great question. And every event, we have our fighter operations team from Ray Sefo to Mike Kogan to Dan Hardy, going behind the scenes with the fighters, not only giving them the rules and regs or reminders, but providing that perspective. And we do have something special in store for this fight. An athlete knows a lot about pressure and a lot about locker room and getting prepared and the moment, and that's Ray Lewis, NFL Hall of Famer, Super Bowl champion, and Ray's part of our athlete advisory board. So Ray's going to go behind the scenes and give the fighters alongside Ray Sefo and Mike a bit of a pep talk, from the heart. And this is not an interview. They got to go out and do their jobs. They've earned that right. And it's a global stage. Everyone's watching. And these are the fights that, make champions, when you think and legacy. So it's all on the line. But Ray Lewis will bring it from the heart.
Ooh, Ray Lewis doesn't motivate you. I don't know what it would take, right? A guy like that.
Exactly.
Let me talk a little bit about Francis Ngannou, right? And from the moment we heard the announcement of him joining the PFL to today, feels like forever ago, and so many things feel like that have happened since then. Can you maybe share a little bit of the journey of the person Francis Ngannou and the conversations you've had with him, the ups and downs? Where do you feel like he's at now, and what do you think the future can hold for a guy like Francis Ngannou in our sport?
Yeah, no, listen, I'll use the word again, privilege. It is a privilege to work with Francis, and it's a partnership. As you guys know, Francis is not only a fighter with the PFL. Yes, he is debuting with the PFL October 19 against Renan. So we're excited about Francis transitioning from his window earlier this year in boxing, right, to MMA. But Francis is also the chairman of PFL Africa. And that's something that was really important to Francis when we signed him, for him to be involved as an investor, as a leader, part of the front office, making those decisions, because it's going to shape the future of the sport on the continent, and develop the next generation of great athletes and fighters who don't have to leave the continent to become professional fighters like Francis. It's such adversity, and he overcame it, and now he gets to go home and put resources in place, and infrastructure with the PFL and our partners to truly develop the sport, the grassroots of it, amateur fighters, pro fighters that will sign and develop further. And then we launch PFL Africa next year. It's fully funded. We have distribution in place. We haven't announced it yet. We're working on our 3-year, candidly, what I would call, staging model, and countries hosting PFL Africa. Countries like not only Cameroon, where Francis is from, but Nigeria, South Africa, but we'll be all over the continent, Rwanda, Morocco. It's a massive undertaking, and I'm sort of belaboring the point, because this was the real thing that got Francis to come over to the PFL. Beyond the PFL giving Francis the flexibility to take on boxing, which was a dream, right? And look what he pulled off. Like, despite the losses, I mean, he won that first fight. We know that. And the second one, he got challenged by the best in AJ, but he took on the best in his first foray into boxing, taking on the very best. So now he's going back into his ecosystem, his environment, his jungle, the MMA cage, and he's a beast. And he doesn't look up to many athletes, but Francis, Renan at 6'8", to see Francis look up, it's going to be wild.
We're proud of Big Fran. We're fellow Extreme Couture members as well. And there's no way Fury and Joshua would ever have the cojones to come over to MMA. Francis had a respectable showing over there in the squared circle. We're very, very proud of him, and we're now happy that he's back at Battle of the Giants. Goes and I will be doing a watch along, folks, for this event on the 19th. And remember, they are in Riyadh, so it's an earlier start time than usual. Things will happen at 4 p.m. Eastern for that main card. So start making your plans and moving things around when it comes to the college football and everything else that's going on, because it's going to be a busy day of sports. Peter Murray is here on the line with us. Johnny Eblen, is he so he's defending his belt, but is this also kind of like a way of hopefully introducing a middleweight division for next year? Have the plans already come into place how next year's is going to be? Is it going to be the same where you have regular season and playoffs? And if so, would a middleweight division be now part of that?
Yeah, we're looking at the weight class, and Eblen, once again, one of the best, fighting Edwards. We think the US-UK rivalry is at play here, and we thought about where to put this fight. We moved it around a little bit, but felt let's super stack the October 19th card, and not just have Francis versus Renan and Cris versus Larissa, but let's add another world title fight and bring in the best of Bellator into the mix on the card. So we got 3 5-round world title fights on the top, and like you said, we kick it off with AJ at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think we're going to turn this into like MMA tailgating on college football Saturdays here.
Oh, like game day when they go to the
Yes,
okay.
give me some MMA tailgate.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't have to twist my arm on that one. How about with the bantamweight division? That's my personal favorite division. Raytheon Stotts. By the way, put him in front of any interview you can. That guy oozes charisma, and he's held the belt as well. Bantamweight division. What's the future for that for the 135ers?
Yeah, listen, fast and a lot of great athletes out there, and we're leveraging our international leagues to dip our toe into like further developing weight classes, and this is one of them. So we have PFL Europe up and running. We have PFL MENA in the Middle East up and running. We launch PFL Africa next year. 26, we launch PFL Australia, in the Pacific region. Those fighters. So we are looking to go deeper. And expand the weight classes, in particular in the international league. So the guys have a lot of heart for this weight class.
Is this the $2 million payday for Ferreira that Ngannou negotiated for his opponent?
Listen, it's a big payday for all the champions on this card. That's all I'll say.
Okay, because I thought that was pretty noble of Ngannou to think about his brothers and sisters out there, and I know that was part of the negotiation. So
yeah, and stature. If you win $1 million, in the PFL global season, this is definitely a step up to take the man on the mountain, Francis, and so it's there's a befitting prize, for both winners.
What do you want to clear up about what Don Davis said, that a lot of money's been invested in this card, much like the UFC invested in Noche? Kind of, what can you tell us about that? Is that like in production, and do we have to wait until that Saturday to see it? Like what's special about this event that you guys are putting all this money and resources into it?
Well, listen, it starts with the card. So, that's where, the majority, the biggest bucket of expense goes is into the fighters. So the card is stacked. And so, we tick the box there. And then everything having to do with, all of the event operations, the production, it will really be second to none in terms of the presentation and the spectacle that we put on in Riyadh proudly. And then all the marketing. I mean, tomorrow, be on the lookout. We're going to premiere a film, and two monsters, coming from different parts of the planet, meeting in Riyadh with CGI. It really is like a feature film type production, and think King Kong versus Godzilla. But I think tomorrow's film will set the tone, for what's to come for the fans on October 19th. And
where can we see it?
So the storytelling, tomorrow that will drop. You guys, I'm sure, got an early look at it. If not, I'll make sure you get that.
All right, cool. I'm excited about that.
I want to show it to you right now, but but I know I'll get in trouble if I do it.
All right, well, wait till tomorrow. The last question, Peter. What about the finals? Has it been decided where that's happening? I looked at your Tapology page, and I don't see anything official yet. I think the last few years you brought it up from December 31st to November-ish. We want to make our plans. Is there anything you can tell the Junkie Nation audience?
What I can tell you, we'll be on Black Friday. And what I could tell you is we'll be announcing the location very soon.
Okay, we don't have to wait till the 19th then? Like, you'll be doing it before then?
Correct.
Will we need a passport?
Can't answer that question.
Okay.
But it's quite possible.
Okay. I'm fishing. I know it's my job, but
it.
That's always been one of my, favorite cards of the year, because lives change, man. When you guys write out those $1 million checks, major belts are won,
exactly.
And the fights have usually really, really delivered. So, okay, we'll be on the lookout for that.
Here's also my view, like, especially on, holiday weekends and daytime, MMA is no different than, NFL football or, big time college football here in the US. I mean, MMA is big time. MMA is mainstream. And these fans do deserve not just Saturday night fights, but holiday eventizing things. And that's what we look to do, to continue to change the perception of the sport, how we present it, how we distribute it, how we eventize it. So, I love Saturday afternoon MMA.
All right. I lied. I do have one more I got to slip in here. Jake Paul has been saying that after Tyson, he comes over to MMA. What can you tell us and confirm about that? His fight's coming up as well pretty soon versus the great Mike Tyson.
Yeah. I mean, hey, you heard it from Jake himself. He's got a big fight coming with Mike. And he has been training, while he's been boxing. He's got the PFL Smart Cage, down at his home, out on his home in Puerto Rico. And he's got a slew of, highly exceptional MMA fighters that he's working out with and training with. He's proved himself as a major, force in boxing, and he's going to bring that, to MMA for sure. And 2025 is the year he'll make his debut.
Thank you for the time today on MMA Junkie Radio. We always appreciate you stopping by, and we look forward to Battle of the Giants on the 19th. Like I said, Goes and I will be doing a watch along, so we're all ears and eyes on that night. Thanks again, Peter.
No, thank you. And I'm looking at all the memorabilia, guys, in the back, and I got to make sure it's my job.
I got you.
PFL love. You the man. All right. I appreciate that.
Only the big dogs, right?
And maybe I'll get you something for this fight, something special that memorializes the Battle of the Giants for you guys. All right.
I will clear a spot for you right there.
Awesome.
I got room too. So
it's coming. Next week. You'll just have it on display.
You can send that cigar box. Is that a cigar box? I bet you roll pretty deep.
That is.
Are those straight from Cuba? Can we say that? Is the embargo over?
I can't confirm or deny that.
All right.
All righty.
Take care, Peter. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, guys. Later.